just how crazy these Christian fascist politicians are getting is evidenced by some of the things Ron DeSantis has been saying. You remember him, Ron DeSantis? He said the other day that if he is elected president, he would seek to close 4 federal agencies. This would be part of his effort to reduce the size of government. Oh, these goddamn people just crack me up. He in an interview with one of the psychos at Fox News, Martha McCallum, he was asked if he favored closing any agencies of the U.S. government once he becomes president. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I will close. No, he didn't say close. He said, I will do. Yeah, I will do education. I would do commerce. I'll do energy. And I would do IRS. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, get rid of the Department of Energy. That's a good idea. And education. Yeah, Ron, you Catholic freak, you. Yeah, get rid of education. And as far as get rid of the IRS, sure. We don't need Internal Revenue Service. I'm not sure how Ron DeSantis figures we would finance what remains of the government once he slices and dices it. But I don't know. Maybe expect manna from heaven. Instead of manna, it'll be money. Money from heaven. Pennies from heaven. Dollars. All kinds of shit. Oh, my God. He added this when he talked to this freak on Fox. He said, quote, if Congress will work with me on doing that, we'll be able to reduce the size and scope of government. And if Congress won't go that far, I'm going to use those agencies to push back against woke ideology and against the leftism that we see creeping into all institutions of American life. Creeping leftism, wokeism, isms. These people are crazy. And I mean, it's self-evident they're crazy. But you know what's worse? The people who follow these crazy bastards, whether it's DeSantis or Trump or whoever it is. DeSantis has tried to distinguish himself, you might say, from the orange bastard Trump. And what he's trying to do is to move further to the right from Trump. And DeSantis ought to know by now that Trump's not a leftist, a rightist, a centrist, nothing. Trump doesn't give a shit, Ron, about anything except himself and the money he can suck out of the terminally stupid every time he gets indicted. But DeSantis doesn't, either he doesn't know that or he's afraid of pointing that out for fear that the hobgoblins that make up the MAGA crowd will eat him alive or something. Also, he issued an unexpected veto in Florida, a bill passed by the Christian fascist legislature in his state. He rejected a criminal justice reform bill that had received substantial bipartisan support in the Christian fascist owned and operated Florida legislature. No, I don't know what the hell it was, but whatever it was, he vetoed it. It must have been something that hinted at fairness or suggested equal protection under law, or maybe doing away with a judge's inability to sentence because of requirements for sentencing. I don't know what it was. Now, the orange bastard hasn't said he would try to eliminate the education department if he's elected in 2024. But he has. Donald the Trump has proposed eliminating federal funding for, quote, any school or program pushing critical race theory, gender ideology, or other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content onto our children. This from a rapist son of a bitch who says, well, you know, grab them by the JJ, and they love it. Yeah, that's all you have to do, especially if you're famous. You see a good-looking woman, just walk up and grab her. Oh, she'll swoon. Sick. I mean, sick beyond belief. I know you get tired of hearing me say that, don't you? Come on, Mike, we know they're sick. Yeah, but this is sick, crazy sick. And DeSantis chimed in and said, we need to fundamentally reconstitutionalize the government. What? Oh, my God. He went to where? Yale? Harvard? We need to reconstitutionalize the government. We talked about draining the swamp in 2016. That didn't happen. I think the better analogy is breaking the swamp. Breaking the swamp. Son of a bitch. How are you going to break the swamp there, Ronnie boy, you sick puppy? You're going to break the swamp, huh? Okay. Now, this is not the first time that this crazy fool has floated the idea of doing away with the IRS. You know, the Republicans have been talking about doing away with the IRS for, I don't know what, 50 years, 75 years. What is it they don't like about the IRS? Here's what I don't understand. We have a tax code in this country. We have tax return preparers, H&R Block, whoever, who will sit down with you, look at your income and your outgo, and say, okay, this is what you owe the government, because we all have to pay something. Unless you're rich. If you're a really rich person or a hedge fund operator or a real right-wing son of a bitch, you don't have to pay anything. And you don't pay anything. But the rest of us. Okay, so what's the big deal? Why do they want to eliminate these Christian fascists? The IRS. You sit down with the tax preparer. This is what you took in. This is what went out. This is what you owe. Bye. See you later. That's it. What is it they're trying to eliminate? Oh, wait a minute. I know what they're trying to eliminate. Or why they're trying to eliminate the IRS, because these son of a bitches cheat, lie, and steal. They are Christian fascists. And any way they can figure out how to cheat, lie, and steal, they're supposed to do it. It's in their holy texts, apparently. So they don't want to be caught cheating, lying, or stealing, because then there are bad things that will happen. So rather than stopping the cheating, lying, and stealing, get rid of the IRS that might catch you cheating, lying, and stealing. Oh, all right. That makes sense. Sort of. He was on the Dana Show a couple of weeks ago. Dana Loesch. Remember her? On the Fox Sewer. And DeSantis called the IRS, quote, a corrupt organization. A corrupt organization. And Dana then asked him if he would sign a measure to abolish the agency. And DeSantis said, the answer is yes. We need something totally different. And asked how he would replace the existing tax structure. DeSantis says he has, quote, supported all of the single rate proposals, which is the flat tax bullshit that makes absolutely no sense unless you are rich. If you are a working stiff like most of us are, then the flat tax, even though it's sold as, they try to sell it to us, well, look, no more income tax. It's just a flat tax on everything you do. 17, 18% across the board. Other than that, you don't owe any tax. Uh-huh. DeSantis said, quote, I would be welcoming to take this tax system, chuck it out the window, and do something that's more favorable to the average folks. Well, that might be if you climbed up on top of Tomorrowland in Disney World and jump. By the way, the IRS, which, of course, is a division of the Treasury Department, has cut close to 20% of its staff since 2010. But the Christian fascists keep screaming about, oh, $80 billion Biden took to hire more people to come and stop us from cheating, lying, and stealing. The debt ceiling deal eliminated, though, $1.4 billion in IRS funding for investigators and redirected roughly $20 billion of the $80 billion provided to the agency through the Inflation Reduction Act to non-defense funds. Huh? I don't know what that means. I really don't. I have no idea what it means. But anyway, in the current year, the budget for the Commerce, Energy, and Education departments were $109 billion, $160 billion, $194 billion, respectively. Those are the agencies that the twisted little psycho Catholic run DeSantis. Okay, if you're a Catholic, I know Biden's a Catholic. I have so many Catholic friends. I've been married to Catholics. I know Catholics. I like Catholics, not because they're Catholics, but because they're decent people. I'm not talking about you. I don't know how a Catholic like Ron DeSantis can wind up this. Well, yes, I do. But I mean, it's surprising that people like DeSantis, who went through the whole catechism thing and you know, how Ron DeSantis can talk this crazy shit. Oh, well. So according to government spending, between all three of the agencies that the dork wants to end, it's about $4.5 billion. I'm sorry. It's 200, 300. It's about $350 billion. Ooh. Now, of course, Crazy Ron isn't the first Christian fascist presidential candidate to have called for abolishing federal agencies. Oh, hell no. You remember back in 2011 when then Texas Governor Rick Perry, remember him? Rick Good Hair Perry? I think that's what Molly Ivins called him. Rick Good Hair Perry. And he was in the primary debate, if you remember this, and he said he would eliminate 3 federal agencies, but he couldn't remember which ones. He couldn't remember the Energy Department after he named the other 2, Commerce and Education. And then Trump made him Secretary of Energy. I mean, these goddamn people. You know, it'd be hysterically funny, except it's hysterically deadly. And I don't think funny and deadly mix very well, do you? I really, truly, honestly don't. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.